Hi everyone, I'm Dead Pirate Brandon, and this is heavily censored. I don't have a name for this segment yet, but I'll be reading erotica. Very, very interesting erotica. This one's about wolf shifters. I don't know what a wolf shifter is, but it's kind of a blind read through. And this is going to be the first few chapters. We'll see how it goes, and then from there, we'll get weirder. This book is called The Alpha Saviors. It's by Reece Barden. This is The Shifters of Grey Ridge, Book 1. So it's available on Amazon. If you enjoy this, support the author. I'm going to read the synopsis. Haley's on the run from a stalker who's determined to make her pay. When she saves the life of the local alpha, exposing her new location in the process, Cooper decides that he has to make her his. His to possess, his to love, his to protect. He's waited a long time to find his mate. He's not going to let her go. She risked her cover and her life to save his. He's willing to do anything to keep her safe. Will Haley be able to accept this whole new paranormal world of wolf shifters and fated mates that she never knew existed? Or will her past catch up to her and ruin it all? Alright. Chapter 1. Haley. The deafening skidding of tires on asphalt shatters the peaceful quiet of the morning air. What the hell? Startled, I look to see where the noise is coming from. A dark gray van hurtles down the road out of control, careening towards a small boy in a bright blue coat standing paralyzed in the middle of the road. Wide-eyed, his youthful face frozen in shock. My heart jumps into my mouth, and I take a step towards them, already knowing that I'm too far away to help. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a blur of movement as a man launches himself into the road. In a split second, he somehow pushes the boy clear, saving his life. But just as he climbs to his feet to get out of the way, the van barrels into him with a sickening thud, and his body flies into the air from the force of the impact. My stomach lurches at the sight. I'm frozen in place, horrified at the scene unfolding in front of me. The sound of screaming fills the air and breaks me from my stupor. The little boy's mother races to his side and collapses on her knees beside him, stopping, holding his chubby round cheeks between her two hands gently as she checks his body over for injuries. He's sitting up already, and even though he's crying and clutching his leg, at least he doesn't seem to be seriously hurt. The driver of the van clambers out from behind the deployed airbag with a loud groan before collapsing on his hands and knees, bright red blood pouring down the side of his face from a gash above his brow. My feet move in the direction the man's body landed, dreading what I might find when I reach him. I sprint across the grass verge at the side of the road and scramble down the steep slope, almost on my backside, using my hands to keep my balance as my feet slip and slide on the loose rocks. As I hit the level gravel section at the bottom, I straighten and look around, searching for where he landed. Where the hell is he? Find him. I take a moment longer, then I see him, and my blood runs cold. No, he's floating face down in the middle of the water, arms spread wide, bobbing in the slow-moving current. Shit. He's not moving, and is clearly unconscious, if not already dead. Don't think like that. I kick off my runners, peel off my hoodie and t-shirt, and launch myself into the ice-cold water in just my running shorts and sports bra. It is a beautiful sunny spring day with clear blue skies, but the water is still bitterly cold. I plunge into the dark river and gasp as my lungs constrict, refusing to work normally. I fight to keep my breathing even as I swim out. As I reach him, I grab hold of his broad shoulders and roll him over as quickly as possible to get his mouth and nose out of the water. Tipping his head back, I wrap my arm under his chin and swim towards the riverbed. The river is flowing in the opposite direction, and I'm fighting against the current. It's exhausting. I'm panting hard by the time I reach the edge. He's wet, and his skin is slippery, so I have to grab him under the armpits to get a secure hold. I plant my feet in the mud to drag him onto the bank. Using every ounce of my strength I have left to haul him onto dry land. He is tall and well built compared to my slight frame and shorter height, and I won't be able to move him any further than this by myself. It's not a good idea anyway, with potential spinal injuries to worry about. I drop to my knees beside him, stones sticking into my bare skin, but I almost didn't notice them. I've gone so numb from the cold water. A couple of bystanders watch, horrified, from the top of the bank, but nobody comes down to help me, perhaps thinking he's already dead. I can't give up. I have to at least try. Pressing a finger to his neck, under his clean-shaven jaw, I check for a pulse, but can't find it. I put my cheek to his mouth to feel if any air flows past his lips or nose. Nothing again. Rocking back on my heels, I focus on his wide chest, but I can't see any movement to show that he is still breathing. I grimace at the nasty cuts across his forehead, right cheek and jaw. His nose seems broken, judging by the crooked angle, and there's blood dripping down the side of his face into his wet, dark hair. Further examination confirms he's suffered some serious injuries. His left forearm is bent at an odd angle, and his shoulder on the same side appears to be dislocated, maybe broken at the collarbone as well. From what I can see on the outside, it seems too cruel for him to die after committing such an act of bravery, but any other outcome seems unrealistic looking at him now, pale and still. I shake my head and refocus, thanking the gods for mandatory health and safety training. If he isn't already dead, he will be soon. My limbs feel tired and heavy from dragging him ashore. Regardless, I start CPR. I pray the approaching sirens get here as soon as possible. I'm aware of someone sinking to their knees in the muck beside me, and gripping the man by his shoulders as I continue compressions. Cooper, Jesus, this can't be happening. The man beside me shouts, leaning over to take his pulse again. Without warning, Cooper jerks and coughs violently, choking and retching as his body expels the water from his lungs. Tears of relief prick my eyes as I tilt his large shoulders over to allow the water to pour past his almost blue lips and into the dirt. It's okay. You're going to be okay, I whisper into his ear with as much conviction as I can muster. Smoothing back the hair from his beautiful, deep brown eyes, I watch as they blink open and he slowly looks around. I hear the rattle of a stretcher being carried down the bank, and paramedics surround us, crouching down beside him to take over. I attempt to stand up to give them more space, but my legs refuse to support me, and I fall on my ass on the hard ground. Strong hands reach under my armpits from behind and pull me up, tugging me back a couple of steps so I'm out of the way. Thanks, I mutter, looking over my shoulder at my helper, but he isn't even looking at me. He's staring at the man on the ground, and knows him well, judging by the look on his face. Pushing his jaw-length blonde hair back roughly with one hand, he blinks back tears and curses under his breath about it being a close call. I'm not as optimistic that his friend is out of the woods yet, so I say nothing. Once my jelly legs work again and can hold me upright on their own, I step away, wrap my arms around myself, and watch as they load Cooper onto a backboard to carry him back up the hill. The initial adrenaline rush has passed, and my body shivers as the cold seeping into my bones finally registers with my brain. My legs give way again, but the man behind me catches me before I hit the ground. He turns me to face him, holding me steady by my shoulders, and I stare dumbly into the brightest pair of blue eyes that I have ever seen. He bends down till we're eye to eye and looks at me with concern as my teeth chatter, before slowly looking me up and down, taking in my wet hair and lack of clothing. Are you okay? Fuck, you're freezing. You need to get warmed up. What's your name, sweetheart? He looks at me, maybe expecting me to move or to formulate an answer, but I can't seem to force any words out through the fog in my mind. So I just continue to stare at him, mutely. I don't even nod. He frowns before sweeping me up into his arms. My head rolls back to rest on his shoulder, and I flop in his arms like a half-frozen rag doll, all my energy spent. He adjusts my position and holds me tightly against his solid chest before turning to carry me up the hill behind the stretcher. A deep rumble reaches us, sounding almost like a growl, and he jerks his head up quickly to stare at his friend, before glancing back at me with a curious expression on his face. After depositing me carefully on a waiting stretcher parked behind one of the ambulance's open doors, he cups my face in both hands and leans in close. His blue eyes are mesmerizing, and a lock of his messy blonde hair falls forward across his face. Cooper would be dead without you. No words. He shakes his head before meeting my gaze again. Thank you. I grip his hand and give it a quick squeeze. Is he going to be okay? I manage to ask as I'm strapped down and loaded into the back of the ambulance. He'll be okay, he reassures me, giving me a little wink before nodding once, sprinting to the back of the other ambulance where Cooper is, and jumping in beside him before the doors slam closed. There's a crowd gathered now, drawn by the flashing red and blue lights, all huddled around with worried faces and speaking in hushed voices. So much for lying low and avoiding any drama. All that work trying to find somewhere to hide and build a new life, and something tells me I've just ruined it all. I shut my eyes, and despite the paramedic beside me asking me to stay awake, I feel myself drifting into sleep as the siren turns on and the ambulance pulls away. Alright, that is chapter 1. I'm just going to keep it to that one right now. What I'd like for you guys to do, if you could go into the comments right now and let me know what impression you would like me to do to read the next chapter. Now, there seems to be well over 50 or so chapters in this, so we're going to be doing this a while. I might read a few chapters at a time, but for this first session, just one chapter. And so let me know what voices you would like to hear. I will do my best. I will pick maybe one at random or one I think is funniest, and we'll go from there. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you soon.